Color is arguably one of the most crucial visual aspects of the film world. It can be used in the establishment of location, it can set the mood and tone of a scene, and it can create symbolism in the simplest of objects. Every decision made by writers, cinematographers, and directors in pre-production is done with intention, even if it isn't overtly clear to the audience. Color is also of utmost importance in post-production to video editors such as myself, hence techniques such as color grading. Color theory allows for the creation of the most visually pleasing movies, but it also goes deeper than that. Color psychology is the study of how colors affect human behavior, emotions, and perceptions. Oftentimes in the cinematic universe, the color design of specific characters goes overlooked when they often deliberately make up the foundation of who that person truly is. The origins of color psychology can be traced back to the German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe and his book Theory of Colors, written in 1810. He theorized that the link between emotions and color varied from shade to shade, but also based on different combinations brought together as well. For example, Goethe thought that yellow elicited a reaction of brightness and happiness because it was the closest color to pure light. He also believed that when yellow appeared next to red, it enhanced the aforementioned excitement, but if the red was noticed before the yellow, then the produced feelings became ones more of warmth and joy. Many theorists believe that the emotional effect of different colors vary due to context. For example, red can be seen as seductive and commanding when it's portrayed in something like a dress or flower, but it can be seen as angry and violent with bloodshed or flashing alarms. When it comes to film characters specifically, color design goes beyond just clothing. Although we're taught to not judge people on their appearances, that's often exactly what is intended when it comes to people in movies. Willy Wonka's whimsical purple jacket and top hat emphasize his eccentric and oddball personality. Gaston's muscular build and angular face show off his brutishness. Merida's wild, fiery hair points to her constant desire for adventure and being unleashed from her strict royal lifestyle. Hair is a common way for filmmakers to portray characters and their involvement in plot lines, and one video that demonstrates this concept really well is The Symbolism of Blue Hair by YouTuber Deep Diver. They use examples such as Ramona Flowers from the 2010 movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Clementine Krasinski from 2004's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind to demonstrate how characters can change their coloring throughout a film in a way that lines up with the plot. Ramona's ever-changing hair color and lack of acknowledgement aligns perfectly with her nonchalant personality, but also with the movie's major events. It changes from pink to blue when Ramona and Scott start dating, which gives Scott the impression that their relationship is going to be anything but boring.
You know your hair?
I know of it.
It's all blue.
I change my hair every week and a half, dude. Get used to it.
Her hair turns green at the climax of the movie when she returns to her evil ex Gideon. This symbolizes the toxicity of their relationship and Scott's jealousy of Gideon's hold over Ramona. Clementine's hair is green when she first meets Joel. Her green hair represents newness and being down to earth, an example of how color meaning can change with context. While color psychology can be easily applied to television characters as well, this video will focus exclusively on movie characters. Red is arguably one of the most symbolic colors in cinema. Its connotation can vary from film to film, even scene to scene, and elicits one of the strongest reactions from viewers. Red is commonly affiliated with violence, danger, love, passion, and intensity. One example of a red character in film is Deadpool. While he does give a literal meaning for the color of his suit,
you may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
It does go beyond surface level. The vibrant shade of red is symbolic of Deadpool's tenacious and fiery personality, while also representing the movie's graphically violent nature.
You might want to look away for this.
However, the role of Red changes when it comes to scenes with his partner Vanessa, where it establishes their romantic relationship and passion for each other. Another red character is Lightning McQueen from the classic Disney movie Cars. His shiny red exterior alludes to his outgoing and overtly confident disposition. The strong saturation of his red makes him literally and metaphorically stand out against his competitors, similarly to Deadpool and his adversaries. At times, when McQueen loses confidence or is humbled, you can see the dust gathered on his paint job, dulling his red and symbolizing the fading of his spirit. One more red character that'll be touched on is Jessica Rabbit. Her red hair and dress signify sensuality and lust, helping her earn her reputation as one of the most famous symbols of desire in animation history. She embodies the femme fatale stereotype to portray a dangerous seductress. Overall, red is typically chosen for bolder, more confident and alluring characters because it's the color the human eye is most drawn to. When we think of blue emotions, we usually go straight to sadness or, well, blueness. In her article, Goethe on the Psychology of Color and Emotion, Maria Popova mentions how, as yellow is always accompanied with light, so it may be said that blue still brings a principle of darkness with it. The hue is on the negative side, sharing many values with black. Blue is associated with things such as winter, ice, and shade, and therefore evokes a feeling of coldness. However, in other contexts, it can bring feelings of cleanliness, peace, and even spirituality. The Na'vi are an alien race from the movie Avatar. The blue skin represents their sacred connection to the world of Pandora and alludes to how their faith in otherworldliness plays a significant part in the storyline. Originally, director James Cameron intended to make the Na'vi purple because that's his favorite color. In the end, he decided to instead make the planet Pandora purple and the people blue. In addition, James Cameron loves the ocean and is an advocate for environmental conservation. The ocean is seen as peaceful and calming on the surface, both characteristics symbolic of the color blue, but can also be dark and threatening under the surface. The Na'vi face threats from the human race, but have the ability to fight back when necessary. This is directly allegorical to the exploitation of the ocean by the human race in our current society. Moving on, a character represented by blue on the completely opposite side of the spectrum is the genie from Aladdin. In an article written by Jackie Mansky for the Smithsonian Magazine, she writes that Eric Goldberg, the supervising animator for the original 1992 movie, was very clear on the reasoning behind the color choice. It was simple. Jafar is red to represent evil, and by directly contrasting him, the genie represents good. Additionally, Goldberg was inspired by certain blues in Persian art pieces and tiled mosques. He writes that they stand out in the bleak coloring of the desert, and their colors are reminiscent of water, life, freedom, a key part of the genie's story, and hope. One more character that may be surprising to see in the blue category is Joy from the 2015 Disney movie Inside Out. Joy is the literal representation of happiness in the head of 12-year-old Riley, along with her other emotions, anger, fear, disgust, and sadness. Once again, YouTube Deep Diver has a great interpretation of what Joy's blue hair is symbolic of. At first, all Joy wants for Riley is for her to be happy. As Riley begins to face changes in her life, it becomes clear that isn't realistic. Joy goes on a journey with sadness that eventually teaches her to accept that there must be melancholy in the world in order for happiness to be truly appreciated. The blue hair shows that there was an element of sadness at her side the entirety of the movie. It just took some time for her to come to terms with it. Green is the color of nature, growth, and tranquility. It draws forth a sense of calm and healing when depicted in earthly features. Yoda is a character that perfectly embodies green. In the Star Wars franchise, he is the protagonist Luke's mentor. Yoda is introduced at a pivotal point in the franchise when Luke begins his training. His green skin represents his wisdom that he will pass on to Luke. The fact that Yoda enters the story during a time when Luke is still inexperienced and, well, green, is overtly symbolic of his youth. Speaking about youth, let's talk about another green character, Peter Pan. The whole premise of the movie Peter Pan is that there's a place called Neverland where children can go to never grow up. Peter is the representative figure for Neverland. His green design is arguably one of the strongest archetypes for the advocacy of youth in the cinematic universe. It demonstrates his unwavering stubbornness and immaturity when it comes to the idea of growing up. While red is usually the color most representative of evil, there are a number of films where green is also used in this light. While Peter isn't shown to be an outright evil character, in a way, he is an incendiary for Wendy, John, and Michael. When Wendy is told that she has to move out of the nursery, Peter shows up to convince her that staying young forever is the right choice instead of learning to grow maturity and accept change. The last green character that'll be mentioned is Gamora from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. Gamora is the last member of her species, raised by the evil titan Thanos, trained from a young age to be an assassin and a living weapon. Green represents the emotion of disgust. Because of her affiliation with Thanos, Gamora is stereotyped as a wicked figure and outcast from a repulsed society, despite her hatred for her adopted father. She has been raised to trust no one and rely solely on her own morals. Throughout the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, Gamora joins Peter Quill and the others in a mission to save the universe. Over time, she learns to count on the others, coming to embody growth not only in herself, but all of the Guardians. We mainly focused on red, blue, and green in this video, but here's a little background on the others, according to experts John Fusco and Jason Hellerman. Yellow is associated with energy, joy, and hope, but also hazard, cowardice, and madness. Orange, with warmth, youthfulness, and humor. Purple is symbolic of nobility, fantasy, eroticism, and mystery. Brown, earthiness, comfort, simplicity, and stability. Black, evil, elegance, sexuality, power, and death. White, purity, cleanliness, innocence, and peace. Silver, high-tech and innovation and the future. Pink is femininity, love, playfulness, and charm. Lastly, gold represents wealth, extravagance, enlightenment, and achievement. To summarize what we've learned, every color has a specific emotional significance, and the ways that they are tied into film characters intentionally play into movie plotlines. One color can also have different psychological interpretations. For example, the article Color in Film Color Grading associates blue tones with melancholy and sadness, while the article How Do Sound and Color Features Affect Self-Report Emotional Experience in Response to Film Clips believes that blue is more affiliated with positive emotions. Overall, color psychology plays a strong role in the creation and development of characters in film.